To right. Channel 1 left. Channel 2 right. Channel 1 left. Channel 2 right. Channel 1 left. Channel 2 right.
Drinking tonight, Ross?
What are we drinking tonight?
This is a recipe I got off of the TikTok, and it goes back to my days at what everybody drank back then.
What was
When you were
that?
at tea, would be Amaretto.
Channel 1 left. Channel 2 right. Channel 1 left. Channel 2 right. Channel 1 left. Channel 2 right.
All right, continuing on with the Ultimate New Orleans Sports Show. Thank you very much for being here with us and for hanging out with us. Ross Jackson here, Doug Mouton, and we have expanded our panel. We have welcomed our panel. Our panel now includes Luke Johnson of NOLA.com, as well as Seth Lewis here from WWL TV, and we're very excited. Thank you both for being here. We got a lot to discuss when it comes to what's coming up for the New Orleans Saints, but also looking back at what they've done so far.
Yeah, no question. Look, let's start with what I asked Ross about Spencer Rattler. Luke, do you think he's extended his runway for how many games he gets? And are you sure that Tyler Shuck is going to see starts this season?
Okay, so I think he extended it. To be determined how long he extended it, right? Because the fact of the matter is the Saints are still a 1-4 team. That's a team. It was the first time they'd been favored in a game since going back to last year. It's a game you really expected them to win,
Right.
or at least have a good chance
Right,
to win.
right.
So look, it's good that you got it done. I think Spencer has played a lot better than most people would have given him credit for, even
Agreed.
here locally, but definitely nationally. So he's definitely put himself in the conversation. But like at the same time, they won that game by 12 points, getting 5 turnovers. They scored 1 touchdown.
Right.
I still think you need to see more before you're saying he's our guy.
Yeah,
And,
agreed.
And to the Tyler Shuck point, like Spencer has to show that he is going to be your guy moving forward for you not to play Tyler Shuck this season. Because if he is not part of your plans, like as a starting quarterback for your future, your franchise, you have to see what Shuck has, because next year you're potentially in the quarterback market.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. One of the things I have written down here is first win equals moving goalposts. It means now you got to qualify for something different, right? Not in a bad way moving goalposts, but in a fair way of moving goalposts. Eventually you got to go from the part of the conversation where you're saying, hey, can you start and win games now, to can you be a franchise quarterback? And the criteria is very different there. What are you looking at when it comes to Spencer?
Yeah, I would agree, almost like retweet to what. Smash it. Smash that retweet button. I mean, it is like that 0-10, like all wins and losses aren't built the same. And we talked about it a lot. In those first four weeks, he wasn't the reason a lot of times that they were losing, right? But he also wasn't the reason why they were winning. And it's funny, even though they won that game on Sunday, it was kind of still the same thing. Like obviously he did good enough. Like he had the 87-yard touchdown and whatnot, but he also wasn't the reason that they won. And to the point of the 5 turnovers, when you have 5 turnovers, you expect your offense to score more than 6 points off of those turnovers, right? Like the defense technically scored more points off of turnovers with the scoop and score than the offense did. And so I think there is just going to be a point where they have to produce. We've talked about the explosive plays and being at the bottom of the league in explosive passes and explosive runs. Part of that is the threat of Spencer Rattler, right? And knowing that they're not going for all of these shots, and it is a lot of dink and dunk. And so that is why I think that at some point, if that doesn't get better, because those explosive plays lead to more offense and to more points, if that doesn't get better, then you have to turn to Tyler Shuck at some point. But it certainly isn't now, and it has probably extended him a couple more weeks, whatever it is, but it is extended because of getting that first one.
Yeah, to me, look, the explosive plays is what's killing them on offense right now, or the lack of explosive plays. Because at one point, the Saints are having all these 12 and 14 play drives where it's 12 plays and they've gone 40 yards. So you're putting so much pressure on yourself on third down. At one point, Ricardo and I are talking during the game. We said, this is the 4th third down of this drive. To convert 4 third downs on a drive is a lot. And that's what explosive plays do. They shorten the drive, and the Saints haven't had those. Now, looking ahead to the Patriots, what is, for all of us, what is our boil water advisory? What is the one thing that derails this team against the New England Patriots and stops the 1-game win streak? Luke, you first.
Well, I mean, I'm just sitting here watching the Bills Patriots game, and I'm just thinking like, Stephon Diggs might kill these guys. And you know, I don't think they have this collection of like superstar power there, but they do have some guy. I think Travion Henderson might start to get a little bit more run. Their rookie running back, super explosive player. Diggs was a superstar again last week, and I think just going up against this defense that's trying to prevent the big plays, he could kill him underneath. I think Kayshon Boutte, the former LSU player, has been pretty nice for New England. So they don't have like the the superstar wide receiver per se. Diggs is on the back end of his career, but with Drake May as a trigger man, he is somebody who scares me.
No question.
Absolutely.
To me, the boil water advisory would probably be Blake Grupe, because some of the and really being able to capitalize on whatever possessions that you have. You can get away with some of what the Saints did last week because it's the Giants, because it's a rookie quarterback and it's a rookie running back. But in a game where like we talked about it with the 49ers, we talked about it with the Bills, 1, 2, 3 plays being the ultimate difference in them having a chance to win, winning the game. Like sometimes that also comes down to kicks.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah, for sure.
And for me, that is the biggest boil water advisor. I know what Kellen Moore said, and he has confidence and he believes in him. And we said of all the competitions in camp, that was the one that was decided the quickest because he was so decisive in camp. He has to get his confidence back and soon. Otherwise, they have to turn somewhere else.
Yeah, he is the least accurate kicker to currently have an NFL job. Jake Moody was more inaccurate and lost his job and got cut. I mean, he 67%, 10 of 15 is not going to cut it right now. What's yours, Ross?
Yeah, I mean, forgive me for beating the drum again here, but for me, it's still the offensive line. Like, I still have a lot of concerns there. It's so interesting to me that. When you look at quarterbacks across the league that have at least 100 passing, or excuse me, at least 70 passing attempts, there's 33 of those players right now. And right now, Spencer Rattler gets the ball out the 4th fastest out of that, but he's somehow still the 12th most pressured quarterback in the NFL. And that's because there's a lot of quick pressure happening. He's getting the ball out on average around 2.63 seconds on average, but quick pressure is usually within 2.5 seconds. And so that's not really boding well for New Orleans. There's 3 players in the offensive line that have let up at least 10 pressures so far this season, according to Pro Football Focus. And the good thing for them is that they have a 4.8 sack percentage. It's one of the lowest. It's top 10 in terms of lowest in the league. So they're not finishing plays on those pressures, so at least there's that. But how long is that going to be sustainable? And so I think that's going to be a big part of what I'm watching here is, can the offensive line begin to finally not just meld with one another, but begin to produce at a higher level?
Yeah, and I've got 2. One is piggybacking on Seth, as Saints special teams have been the worst in the NFL so far this season. The kickoff coverage and returns were horrible against the Giants. It wound up not really mattering in the outcome of the game when you get 5 turnovers, but it's still something that's terrible. But to me, it's Drake May. The reason the Patriots are ahead of the Saints in their rebuild is because of Drake May. Right now, he's the 6th highest rated quarterback in the NFL, and I watched the Bills game. He plays with a calm that it doesn't seem like a guy as young as he is.
For sure.
And if the Saints don't have Chase Young back and aren't able to get a consistent pass rush, I think Drake May will pick them apart. You said Stephon Diggs. I think Drake May will pick them apart if they don't get a pass rush. And without Chase Young, they haven't been able to do that. How big of a problem do you see the special teams right now?
I mean, like blaring red lights.
Yes, but it doesn't seem like Kellen Moore sees that.
Well, I think he doesn't think about it. He doesn't think about Blake Grupe that way. But I think if you just like injected him with some truth serum and said like, hey man, special teams, how do you feel about it? He'd probably be like, we suck right now. They're terrible. They're terrible in every single facet of it. Even just getting the ball kicked off.
Right.
Yes.
Blake's mishit 2 of them that led to starting at the 40-yard line. So I mean, it's just been bad all the way around, and like they've got good players there. They got to fix it somehow.
Would you think he would make a change there? I mean, you see coaches fire coordinators. Do you think that's possible?
That feels like an off-season thing more than likely. Like if they were a team that had was fighting for playoff lives, then like you're absolutely going to do that. That they call it the 3rd phase of the game, but at many games it becomes the 1st phase of the game, right? Because it'll put points on the board and it'll keep points off the board in some occasions. And so I would absolutely expect him to maybe look at that over the offseason. But I think right now the big hope is maybe Taysom can save him.
And he
gone back on PP, baby.
He didn't look great this week, but it seems like he has to work himself back into football shape, right?
Yeah, Taysom and Foster both have to work themselves back into football shape. Taysom had 9 snaps. A lot of them came at quarterback, right? And even to the point of like the slow burn and like the 3 runs, the few runs with Taysom, and then allowing him to throw it to Juwan was nice. His addition. What they hope, at least, is that it can solve a lot of problems. Obviously, the special teams problem is one thing. The red zone problems are an entirely different thing in itself. He gives them a big body. He gives them a bruiser when it comes to a runner. You know what I mean? Especially if he's playing in that quarterback or in that wildcat position. There's so many things he can solve. The question is, with how the special teams has been, like, he can't solve everything.
He can't fix it. He can't fix all of it. He can't kick the field goals. Maybe he could. I don't know.
You know what time it is?
I do know it's cool. That's right.
Well, there you go. What time is it?
It's last call.
We'll be back with our last call here on the Ultimate New Orleans Sports Show in a minute.
All right, welcome back to the Ultimate New Orleans Sports Show. It is time for the last call. Thank you very much for joining us. This is where we have a drink and give a think. What's the drink that we're going to have today?
We are making a grown-up amaretto sour. It's an 1.5 ounces of amaretto. We're starting with that. We're going with a high-proof bourbon. To me, high-proof is anything over 100. This is Baker's. It's one of the Jim Beam bourbons. I love this, and it was on sale at Acquista Paces.
Hey.
So this is the bourbon we're going with. 3/4 ounce, a little bit of Campari, which is bitter, and it's just 1/4 ounce, leaning into the Italian part. I made an almond simple syrup. Amaretto is an almond liqueur, so it leans into the almond. Just 1/4 ounce, and then a full ounce. That's Mouton squeezed lemon juice. It's a sour, so it's got lemon juice. I've already mixed it in here just because, for time considerations. I'm going to be shaking. You guys be talking.
Perfect. All right, so let's get started with our last call here. During the last call, we give one final point as we wrap up the show. Luke, would you like to start us off today?
Yeah, I think my final take here is that I am glad we got some validation on why I think that Kellen Moore is going to be the right guy for this job.
That's good.
Yeah.
Right? I think he has kept this team just mentally locked in as they were going through 4 kind of tough losses. They were competitive, still losing. Guys were getting frustrated. They all stayed locked in.
Yeah.
Kellen, I think, has got the guys playing hard, and he's got them believing in what he's selling here. It might not look great by the end of the regular season in terms of wins, losses, but the fact that he's got them playing hard, that he's got, I listen to all these national podcasts. There's people being like, I kind of like what the Saints are doing right now.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since I heard that. So I think that we got some validation on why Kellen Moore is the right guy, and I think that's a good thing.
Retweet.
Awesome.
Retweet. I think, to your point, one of the coolest things seeing the locker room celebration was that Alvin Kamara was the one that gave him the game ball, and Demario Davis was the first person to hug him.
Yeah.
When two of your leaders, when 2 of your stars are the ones that's putting their arms around and saying, hey, good job, man, we're really happy for you, I think that speaks volumes.
I do too. And the third member of that triumvirate is Cam Jordan, and Cam Jordan is 100% bought in. And that's been fun. All right, look, a quick toast to Kellen Moore. Congratulations to him. Congratulations to Spencer Rattler. This is a grown-up amaretto sour. Oh, that's pretty.
Man.
That's a good stuff.
That's pretty delicious.
That's not going to last long.
Yeah, thank you.
That's really good.
Do you have something different than?
Man, that's a good last. That's a good last call right there. So, look, I'm gonna talk college football.
Okay.
For one, Tulane ECU on Thursday night on ESPN. That's a big stage for Tulane, right? Obviously starting the season 4-1, and they had that one loss to Ole Miss, but they have a good resume as far as a couple non-conference wins against Duke and against Northwestern, and I think ECU will be a good challenge. And then, of course, with LSU in South Carolina this weekend, it'll be a good chance to see just how much the bye week aided them. There's been a lot of talk about Garrett Nussmeier's health.
Yeah.
Will he be better? Will he return more to his 2024 form? I think that's all interesting things coming this weekend.
Yeah, and it's a must-win for both teams. So we got about a minute and a half. Go.
Mine's super fast. I think that I'm going to be tracking sort of the ups and downs of this season in terms of what it could mean for the NFL draft. And I think right now, if the Saints were to finish the season as they are right now, I would say that it would be a better move to spend your first-round pick on a weapon on offense than it would be for a quarterback. And that's good news for the New Orleans Saints right now, but we'll see how that shifts and changes over the course of the season.
Will the Saints be able to be like, defensive lineman, offensive lineman, that guy looks awesome? That's like what they always do.
Yeah, that's true. But I think if I was making the investment with their pick, if I was playing with their money, I'm going for another wideout or I'm going for some kind of big weapon on offense.
And it's not your money.
It's not mine.
Yeah. And look, I'm going to do mine in 15 seconds. Congratulations to Spencer Rattler.
Yeah.
Spencer Rattler has been in there plugging away, doing everything he's supposed to do. He hasn't been great, but he has been solid. I think you said it best. He's been better than anyone nationally thought he would be or could be. Congratulations to him on getting number 1. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely awesome. And so are you for being here with us, and so is this panel. We appreciate you very much for joining us here on the Ultimate New Orleans Sports Show. Don't forget to come over to WWL Plus for Ultimate New Orleans Sports Show Overtime. Thank you very much for being here. We'll see you next time, but come see us over at WWL Plus. Woo! Cheers! right, continuing on here. It's the Ultimate New Orleans Sports Show Overtime. Thank you very much for coming over and joining us, whether you're catching us here on the WWL Plus app coming over from Channel 4, or if you're catching us for the first time, we appreciate you very much for being here. I am Ross Jackson. That's Doug Mouton. Luke Johnson from NOLA.com, as well as Seth Lewis from here at WWL TV. Continuing our conversation, taking a look at the New Orleans Saints and what's upcoming for them up against the New England Patriots.
Look, I thought we talked about the things that came out of this game. I thought the young defenders were great. To me, the other thing that came out of this game, for me at least, was the job that this coaching staff did. You had Brandon Staley at halftime. Jackson Dart's quarterback rating was 127. The Saints figured out what they were doing, readjusted the first play of the second half. He throws into the flat to Bellinger, the tight end. I always want to call him Cody Bellinger. Throws to Bellinger in the flat. Jonas Sanker breaks on it, makes the tackle. It's a 2-yard loss. That was a sign that, okay, you know what? No more of that. The Saints took things away. Now, Dart made some mistakes on his own. His quarterback rating, 127 in the first half, a 34 in the second half. Thought that was a huge plus for Brandon Staley. And the way Kellen Moore long played the touchdown to Rashid Shaheed and the pass from Taysom Hill, I thought they outcoached the Giants. I thought this was the first game I said, all right, they were better coaching in this game. I thought it was a big win for Brandon Staley and Kellen Moore and the coaching staff. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I do. I still think that defensively they're a little bit limited by what they have personnel-wise.
No question.
For sure.
And I think we haven't seen the best out of Brandon Staley yet. But he's got those guys, I think, on the back end playing pretty well. Just in terms of not giving up the killer plays.
Yeah.
There are still some plays where you're just like, kind of wish they had somebody there. They do play a little bit of soft zone coverage, which can get a little frustrating to watch at times. But I think that eventually we're going to see Chase Young back in. We're going to see them get their players the way they want it, and it's going to look a little bit more creative on a game-to-game, down-to-down basis. Kellen Moore, I'm already feeling really good about it. He's got Spencer Rattler playing at like a league average level, which I think is really, really good. The ground game's looking good. They're building stuff off the ground game, and the offense is completely different in week 5 than it was in week 1.
Big time.
He is changing things up. He is adjusting it and tailoring it to his personnel. I'm completely sold on him as a play caller.
Yeah, they played more than 40% of their offense with motion. They picked and chose the play action percentage or the play action opportunities off of building tendencies and breaking tendencies, as we discussed. And then, Kendre Miller continues. He's at 4.4 yards after contact.
Yeah.
That means guys are hitting him, and he's still picking up more yards in the run game. That's more than any New Orleans Saints running back with more than 20 carries since 2018.
Oh, wow.
And that running back, by the way, was Dwayne Washington. It was not the name that you might think.
Oh, wow.
And he had 4.5. And so it's those little things that I think go a really, really long way. What?
I can't believe it was Dwayne Washington.
I know. It's crazy.
I'm pretty sure all of that came against the Cincinnati Bengals.
It was like one game, and then
where everybody was doing the
Yes.
Des Bryant acts, and they were up by 40 at halftime. They're like, all right, Dwayne, go eat. And I think he ran for 100 yards.
But look, Seth, the truth is, look, Kellen Moore said from the beginning his offense was going to be geared to the team they were playing, was going to be different every week. It really is. We got used to Sean Payton, who ran what he ran and sort of dared you to stop it, and he did what he did. But Kellen Moore, this offense, they run the ball so well in Buffalo. The Giants haven't been good against the run, so I assume they're going to run it 35 times. That wasn't his game plan. He has literally had his offense has looked different virtually every week, which is probably the way to win football games.
And we talked about this in the office, but we kind of had a first-person view to how that happened last year for the Eagles.
Yeah.
The Eagles that we saw in week 3 against the Saints looked different when you saw them on national television or whatever it was later in the season than watching them in the playoffs and then obviously in the Super Bowl. That team that came to the Dome in week 3 and that tough battle that they pulled out at the end, it was a completely different team by the time they got to the Super Bowl. And that's not always the case. Obviously, teams are constantly getting better, but offenses don't shapeshift like that.
Right.
And I think that was a good sign. I also think, too, some of the things in these other games where it hasn't necessarily resulted in wins, it's not because the plays weren't there, right? There have been plays that were there to be made that they just weren't made. And some of that is the conversation that we've had about Spencer Rattler and maybe being off on a throw or two that in the game against the 49ers. the touchdown to Olave is there. You can argue that it was behind Olave or that Olave should have made that catch, but like he was open.
It was the right call.
It was the
Yeah.
right call.
Yep.
You look in the Bills game, the pass to Brandon Cooks is open, right? Like that is a play that you want to be made. And so like there have already been things that I've seen in some of the other games when it's like, okay, once they get it more together as a group, they're more cohesive. Also, when looking towards the future, when they get more of maybe their guys, right?
Yeah.
Like when this roster is better, like I can see the promising things that are in store potentially because you can already see it. It's just a matter of executing those things,
Yeah.
and the execution hasn't been there all the time.
One of the big things that we've talked about a lot over the course of the season so far is Spencer Rattler on in-breaking routes.
Yeah.
Right? That's always been a big part of the conversation. We've asked him about it. He's talked about it. During this game up against the New York Giants, he hit a couple of those in big moments. A 4th and 2 in-breaker to Rashid Shaheed that effectively helped them ice the game, or at least kept the Giants at bay a little bit by not giving them a 4-minute possession or 4-minute possession time. And then he hit another one to Chris Olave, pretty much the exact same pattern of the touchdown that was missed up against San Francisco. He hit that same thing in the middle of the field. And so we're also seeing, in addition to all of the calls that are being made and the things that are going right for them there, the execution is starting to meet the scheme a bit more.
Yeah, and look, I want to go completely off menu here for a second because it's what a lot of
Secret menu?
Yeah, secret menu. It's
menu.
what a lot of my friends are still talking about is the sack roughing the passer call.
Oh my goodness.
When you look, and my guess is, here's my guess, and Kellen Moore didn't really have an explanation from the NFL by Monday, right?
Oh, really?
My guess is he was so excited he hasn't really dove into that. My guess is he'll have an explanation by Wednesday. That's my guess. What
but like an explanation
really
or a
optimistic.
satisfactory explanation.
Well, I don't
really
know.
optimistic.
The first thing I thought was, he must have rolled on him or fallen on him.
No.
He did not. He misses him.
nothing.
Now,
The
there was
only-
a point of contact, but I don't know how you don't have that. I'm watching
That's
the game.
called football.
I'm watching Patrick Mahomes run through tackles. I don't know how you don't tackle
The
someone.
only thing he didn't do was lay down the sheet, fluff his pillows, and place him down on the ground.
Yeah, and tuck him in.
And tuck him in. Yeah, because that might be a flag if you don't
flag,
tuck him
right?
in.
That flag was for the Giants' offensive line for not blocking.
Did the ref miss the call? Or is that what the NFL wants? And in which case, what do you do?
Answer those
You can't
7
compute it.
questions.
Yes, that ref blew that call. I mean, it was the cleanest sack you could possibly imagine. Except he hit him from the blind side.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, poor Jackson.
But that's the only
Dart.
side he's coming
Poor
from. He
Jackson
could have
Dart.
been around him.
Sometimes as a quarterback, you get your butt kicked.
Yes.
And like that's just the way
Yeah.
it
Did
is.
they make a movie about the blind side?
Right.
Yes, for a reason.
yes.
If this is what the NFL wants, they're absolutely out of their minds.
Yeah, completely
Yeah.
agreed. Completely
Right.
agreed.
Like-
Yeah, everything about that was textbook.
They need to assess plays like this.
Yeah.
And this isn't the first time we've seen this happen in
No.
the NFL, but it's so present because it happened right here in front of us.
Right.
Like that is bogus BS
Yeah.
nonsense. There's no place on a football field at any level.
Yeah.
At any level. I know the quarterbacks are important and they're what drive the revenue and the fans and the engagement and all that stuff. Who cares?
Yeah.
Right?
cares?
Yeah,
Like you
but
can't,
also
you gotta
sometimes
be able
those
to-
guys
you
get
can't
hit.
protect them to the point where look, luckily for the Saints, this didn't impact the outcome
Did
of the
not.
game. The game was pretty much decided at that point, but like, come on, man.
Yeah, but you're also costing. I mean, that call costs Carl Granderson money potentially,
does,
right?
it does.
Like, in the long run of it and everything. And so like that's we're getting more drinks.
Oh, jeez, and I
Yeah, more
unplugged.
drinks.
You got 2 choices. I can either make you another one of these, or what I might do is just pour the amaretto over ice with a little splash of lemon.
I'd be willing to try that.
So like, I was the one who told you about the amaretto and lemon.
Yeah.
But that was so good. So if
want another one of those?
If this is on the menu,
No, let's do that. Let's do it. All right, Luke's in the right hand, I'm in the left.
Yeah, I want another one of those.
You want to? Yeah, me too.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm gonna finish this.
Yeah,
one
you
and
finish
then-
that
and
one.
then
Yeah,
I'll do amaretto.
But if you guys talk while I do this.
You need to try the amaretto and lemon. It's really good.
I will. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that.
I'm doing the 10 o'clock news, so I got plenty of time. All right, you guys go ahead and talk without me.
I think that was one of the worst calls I've seen in person. Now, obviously, I didn't see the call, but
My first year on the beat.
Was that your first year? Yeah.
Oh, no.
Welcome.
Oh, God.
But that was one of the worst ones that I've seen because he doesn't hit high. There's no contact with the helmet. He doesn't hit low, obviously, and he doesn't land on him. In fact, he rolls over and puts his hands up as he's falling to the ground with the drink in his hand. Like everything was there, was textbook. Everything that was there was textbook. I was shocked by that call, and I don't think that he's going to get an explanation from the league at all.
You don't think he's going to get an explanation?
Because the league doesn't hold its officials accountable.
Well, no, what I think, and this is my theory, the NFL has hit its officials so much on roughing the passer, don't let him rough the passer, that this referee made the wrong call, jumped the gun, because he's getting bad information from the NFL.
Yeah.
That the NFL's telling him it's got to be a roughing, and I think it's my prediction, the NFL is going to say, you know what, that one probably shouldn't have been a roughing in retrospect. I think that you were going to get that answer before Sunday.
I don't think the NFL is going to cop up to that.
God, if they don't,
I don't.
Look, I'm big on admitting your mistakes as a human, and that's obviously a mistake.
I've talked to officials in pool reports, and they are like the least willing participants in these things, and they're just like, yep. You know, it happened. See ya. Like literally, I asked a question one time. They were just like, all right, bye.
They didn't even answer. They were just like, I'm out.
I was like, all right.
That was the response. That was your
Yeah,
answer.
they're like, I gotta go, and I was like, okay.
Jeez.
I just waited 30 minutes to get a hold of you, but I mean, it's just like we can criticize the officials all we want. They obviously can't.
Yeah,
You know,
which is a red
Kellen
flag,
Moore's
by the
up
way.
there in these post-game press conferences, just saying like, I have feelings about it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
right,
can't say anything
Yeah.
about it.
I loved his answer. I thought his answer was very diplomatic, but very direct at the same time.
Obvious, right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, I would agree. The call was ridiculous. That's 100% the case. And I think that it's interesting to the point of, like, the refs are so aligned with each other. You know what I mean?
right.
Like they are gonna hold up the shield, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
And so I think it's gonna be hard to come up with a reason as to like why the flag was thrown. I think it probably just is like, oh, it happened.
Yeah,
I think you're right.
Yeah, like, oh, it's human error.
Right. Oh, can't take the human error out of the game.
Yeah, can't take the human error out of the
Oh,
game.
can't take that out.
Well, that would be okay if they would say error.
But
Yeah, that's fair.
And
Yeah.
to the point too of like them believing in, and I don't want to just completely go off on referees. Obviously their job
do
is
it.
their job is important. I feel bad for the high school referees sometimes. I'm like,
No, that's fair. That's
come
fair.
on,
I don't feel
man,
bad for
come
the
on.
NFL referees.
Yeah, no. They're getting paid enough, but like I still think that you should be able to challenge a pass interference. I think a pass interference is too big of a play to just say, oh, well, we're going to leave that to human judgment.
If it's going to be a spot foul,
If it's going to be a spot foul, you need to be able to
I
challenge
think
it.
everything should be on the table to review.
I agree. And then they did make that the case, kind of, a little
Yeah.
bit, allowing you to review DPI after the play that shall not be named.
Right. Yes. Redacted.
And the refs are like,
Redacted.
okay, cool, never mind, we're not going to do that. Like, you
Yeah.
could review it, and they would not overturn a single
And
one.
that's
anything
exactly
at
the
all.
point I was getting at. Like, the fact that they did that for a year and was like, yeah, our call was right. You challenged it. Looked at it. Still pass interference.
Yeah.
Like, there's a little bit of contact. Like, I thought that was such BS, to be honest, that year, that they didn't give that an earnest try of, we were watching several calls that year that looked like, okay, this call is for sure going to get reversed.
Nope.
And they stuck with it, and it looked clear like,
Yeah.
we're not changing our minds
Yeah.
on this. We're
Yeah.
going to stick with
Yeah.
whatever the call was on the field.
They took a possible solution and they turned it into a statement. And
Yes.
that's never a good way to go.
Can I
It's never a good
can I
way
say
to go.
one more thing? I'm not a soapbox.
You can say
Just for-
several more
just
things.
for-
Oh, I like the soapbox.
Just for a second.
Jump on.
I think my big problem is that the NFL has made a business out of officiating. Mike Pereira and all these like jokers who get on your TV broadcast, they're getting paid $1 million by NBC to go on there and explain the little nitty-gritty details of football, and it's just like, and they're always like, oh, the referee made the right call. It's like every time they're like, yeah, I think that's good judgment on the referee's part. It's just like, stop it with this. I do not need to see Mike Pereira's mug on my TV. Watching,
To tell me what I'm supposed to be
Make the rule
saying.
book simpler.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And make it so it's not so convoluted that you need some guy who's already made $1 million officiating games to come on here and let us know, like, oh, well, according to Article C, Section 4, Paragraph 8, you know, he has to have 1.6 feet in bounds. It's like, come on, man. Like, get out of here. I hate it.
Yeah.
And they need to just like, all right, you guys are getting compensated well. You're getting paid $400,000 or whatever it is for 16 weekends of work.
Right.
It's a very difficult job that you have
Sure.
to do, but you need to own up to your mistakes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And sometimes,
Yes.
and that means like you need to have your mistakes be reviewed. And if you made a mistake, then I mean, it happens in baseball. They're about to have robot umps in
Yes.
baseball.
Right. And
come on.
almost everything's reviewable to a certain point in the NBA. And the NBA will say, I got that wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this is the NFL's mistake more than that official because they have so over scrutinized roughing the passer that I think officials are just throwing flags on everything.
Yeah.
And I think this is an NFL problem. I'm hoping they deal with it. All right, let's completely change the subject here. I got $300 of Mouton money. I'm giving you each $100. But the only way you get to keep that money is to bet on the Saints game this weekend, Saints and Patriots on the money line side. Who's going to win? Saints or Patriots? Who wants to go first? Luke, you're the guest. So in
What am I
theory,
doing with my Mouton bucks?
Money line
you're
or
either
spread?
betting
Yeah,
Saints
good
win or
question.
Patriots win.
money-
Oh, no, either Saints win or Patriots win, so money line.
Yeah, the money line
money
bet.
line.
Yeah, and I don't care about the point spread. I care about who wins.
Patriots.
Patriots.
Yeah.
You got an overarching reason.
I just think the Patriots are an ascending team, and I thought that before they played the Bills and won last week. They've got a smart head coach who knows, he's proven he knows how to get his team ready to play. They've got one of the best young quarterbacks in the NFL. They fortified the roster with about $100 million in free agency this offseason, and they hit on a couple draft picks. I think they're a good young team that is going to be fighting for playoff position.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
Yeah, I would pick the Patriots.
How do you disagree? Once he
Yeah,
goes
no,
on
no,
that
no,
way.
I mean, like I thought that was maybe the most impressive thing about Mike Vrabel when he was with the Titans.
Yeah.
Was how much of a beat he had on that locker room. Like and obviously things can be cut in a certain way, but like every video that came out behind the scenes, like you could tell how much you could tell.
Are you going to make your own?
Yeah, I got it.
Very nice. You could tell how much his players loved him, right? And he clearly gets that part of it. And if you can get a guy to buy into you can get them to do a lot of things on the football field.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. Like I said, I picked the Patriots, but like Kayshon Boutte is one of those guys that like I covered. You know, like I watched him in New Iberia at Westgate.
Oh, that's fun too. When you
I was
see
going to
those
ask
guys,
if you were there for his Acadiana days.
Yeah, so I was there for his Acadiana days, and it's been cool to see. Like, obviously, his entrance into the NFL was maybe a little bit rough for different reasons, but the way that he has carved a role for himself, and he's always been super talented, super athletic. He was a guy at Westgate that played quarterback sometimes or played running back. Like, they were just trying to get him the ball in any way that they could. And so to see him there, obviously Will Campbell as well.
Will Campbell's been great.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, they're not talking about the short arms no more. You know what I mean?
That narrative went away
that
fast.
narrative went away real quick. But no, so like it'll be cool to see him return to Louisiana. I think it'll be close. Like the line is 3.5. In some sports books, like I could see it maybe being a 3-point game, something like that, and the Saints covering. But I think that when it's a 2-game homestand, but with these 2 games, it was like, all right, if the Saints win. The Saints have to win one of these games.
Yeah.
Especially when we were discussing Spencer Rattler. Like, the Saints have to win one of these games to continue to roll with him, even if we don't believe that he's the reason why they're losing. Like, you have to have more production. And so, for me, I just think it would be the Patriots.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Patriots too. I think one of the other big reasons why I would highlight them, and we'll see how things go, of course, but is Hunter Henry too, who's like this really, and Drake May for me he came into that Monday Night Football game up against the Buffalo Bills, the most accurate quarterback in the NFL. 74% of his passes he completed. And when we look at the completion percentage for every quarterback that the Saints have played so far this season, every single one of them is over 66% or 66% or more, and 4 of the 5 are over 70%. And so we were talking about sort of that light defense and the way that they've kind of played those soft zones. I think that that's something with Stephon Diggs and with some of the other weapons that they're going to have. With Antonio Gibson out, Luke, I think you made an observation earlier about Travion Henderson becoming a bigger part of what what they're doing. Ramondre Stevenson keeps putting the ball on the ground, so an opportunity there for Henderson should be there. I just think that offense has a lot of weapons, and I also think that defensive line is one that's not really loaded with a lot of superstars, but the way that they play and the way that they run stunts and that they run their game on the defensive line, they're so effective in there, even without maybe the biggest names or whatever household names.
Milton Williams might be one by the end of the year.
Yeah, and really should have been one coming into the season, for being honest, with his earlier play with the Eagles, right?
Eagles,
With the Eagles,
had a huge playoff run.
Right. And so, I think all of that gets in the way, right? It mucks up what the New Orleans Saints are trying to do a little bit, and so I think it's going to be they're a tougher team than most people think that they are.
Yeah.
And the Saints are going to kind of learn that.
Yeah, look, I thought these 3 games were all winnable. This is the most difficult of these 3, Chicago being next. Look, to me, I go with the Patriots, and my logic is almost always the same. It's like, who's got the better quarterback? That's where I always start. And Drake May is 6th in the NFL in quarterback rating. Spencer Rattler's 22nd. I think you said it perfectly, that Kellen Moore has he has squeezed that towel and gotten every drop out of Spencer Rattler he can so far. But Drake May is a potential superstar by everything that we've seen so far. I like Drake May. I like the Patriots, but their weapons are good, but not great. There's no real home run hitters in there. I like the Saints' chances to stay in this game. And what I really like about this game is Kellen Moore versus Mike Vrabel. When the Saints have the ball, can he long play Mike Vrabel? How does that matchup work between the two of them from a chess game standpoint? I think that part of this game is super interesting.
Yeah. One of the things that Mike Vrabel has struggled with, which isn't a lot, but one of the things that he struggled with when it comes to being a head coach is hiring the right coordinators. He's always had a little bit of an issue there, hiring the right coordinators, hiring the right assistants, all those pieces. It feels like he's gotten it right over in New England so far. Obviously, bringing back the old OC and Josh McDaniels, being able to create that environment for Drake May is really important for him and really important for Drake May. But I'll be very, very curious to see what the chess match looks like throughout this one.
And I would just go on to say that we all picked the Patriots. Absolutely none of us would be surprised if the Saints won this game.
I think that's right.
I think the Saints will be in it.
I agree with you.
I think
they lose by 3. If I had to pick a score, it'd be like 24-21 or something like that.
But to your point, if it's 24-21 and the Saints are on the right side of that, to your point, none of us would probably be shocked by that.
No, and I hate to say this because it's been the case since the beginning of the season, but I think if somehow this planets line up in a row and Chase Young plays, it's a different game. You said you want to see the Saints defense in its full look in what it's going to. The only missing piece right now is Chase Young, but
he's such a big piece.
He's the most talented piece.
Important. Yeah.
He's one piece.
There's one.
It's like missing the king piece or the queen piece on a chessboard.
It is because every person on the D-line will be played differently once Chase Young is there.
Not only that, you're going to be able to send more exotic pressures. People are going to be concerned about 99. They're going to be able to send Alontae Taylor more.
Yep.
I thought Alontae Taylor might have 6-7 sacks this year coming into the season, the way they were using him in training camp.
If Chase Young had been playing.
Right.
Yes.
Well, but it's been different since he's been out, right?
No question.
He had the sack in week 1. We haven't seen it since. He's only blitzed a handful of times since.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of untapped potential there. We haven't seen the true star role evolve from Alontae Taylor.
There's one teeny tiny little detail from what the Saints did in terms of their flurry of roster moves on Tuesday that maybe suggests that there could be some optimism towards Chase.
No.
Did you have the same thought?
No.
I know you're going to know his name.
You
number
can't
52.
say optimism.
No, I can say optimism, and I did, and I will again. There is one little piece to it that I think gives some optimism. It's Garrett Nelson. He was one of the 3 defensive ends that was on the practice squad. And a big flurry of moves, the Saints moved on from 3 players on their practice squad, I think, and then they also moved on from Velus Jones Jr. on their active roster, who I expect will probably come back to the practice squad. But Garrett Nelson was one of the 3 that they moved on from, and he was one of the 3 defensive ends specifically that was on the roster. And so maybe, just maybe, that gives you a little bit of a glimpse into the idea that at least Chase Young might make an appearance at practice and maybe be back within the next couple of weeks. But the sooner the better when it comes to what we've all stated in terms of his opportunity or his ability to impact the football game. And he's a great run defender too. We should highlight that.
I'm sorry for interrupting.
No.
Pretty sure Garrett Nelson is who they signed when Chase Young got hurt.
Exactly.
I think he was the guy they signed, like a 1-for-1.
Yep.
So like, I had the exact same thought,
Yeah.
and I was going to bring it up, but I couldn't remember his name. I only knew him as number 50. I only knew him as number 52. I was like, yeah, 52, the guy who's never going to see the field.
Right. I mean, they've used, and when you really think about it, they really only have had 2 options on the practice squad in terms of defensive end elevations, because they've used all 3 of the eligible elevations for Fadil Diggs, the 7th-round rookie that they drafted out of Syracuse by way of Texas A&M. And then, so now you have 1 from Iko Leota, who's already been elevated last week, but barely saw the field, if at all, honestly. Yeah. And then now so that him and Garrett Nelson were the only 2 that were left, and now all of a sudden, Garrett Nelson's gone. So there's a chance.
The door is open for Chase Young to potentially play.
The door is open.
All right, we got about 4 minutes left. I do want, real quick, most pleasant surprise. Let's end on a positive.
Oh, nice.
You got a player or a thing or a coach or anything. Most pleasant surprise. Seth, you're going first.
Wow.
Yes.
Me?
Yeah,
Go
and I'm not happy about it. You're going first.
Wow. No, I think it's Jonas Sinker for me.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw him flash in camp, right? Like you saw these like little bit of plays. But I mean, the way that he's been able to fly around, and he's a rookie. I know he's making some mistakes, but like there's been so much, like for me, I noticed so much more positive that he's done on the field than anything negative. And I don't remember, somebody tweeted like he's one more play away from being called the ball hawk.
Oh yeah. No, that wasn't me, but I did see that.
Yeah,
too.
like it's like one more, like he's been such a positive. And I think that when you talk about this team going into the future, and we acknowledge this year being a rebuilding year, you need guys that you believe in going forward, and he's already one of those guys that I'm like, I could see him being in New Orleans,
Roman Harper.
8, 10,
Yeah.
Absolutely, 6, 8, 10 years.
Roman Harper's 2nd-round pick, he's a 3rd.
He's so sick.
Yeah.
He's awesome.
so good.
It's like watching him in the NFL is like watching his college highlight tape. It's
he's
awesome.
he's 1, I think.
All right, I'm going to throw this out there. I've been pleasantly surprised by Cam Jordan.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's great.
true.
Yeah.
He was great in Buffalo.
Cam has been really good this year. I mean, like, not even just by like 36-year-old defensive end standards. Like he's been a good football player this year.
Yeah.
Which is just, it's so nice to see. Like Cam is obviously just like such a huge part of this community, a storied part of this franchise. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. Like there was a lot of people saying like, Cam, like, do you really need to come back this year? And like Cam's like, yeah, buddy, I did. He's been really good. And like, when Chase Young comes back eventually, like his reps are going to be eaten into. We're not going to see as much of him on the field. But like, look, 2.5 sacks, a fumble recovery, like sprinting 60 yards downfield, talking trash to Jackson Dart the whole time.
Yeah. And just super active.
Yeah, and look, this is part of why coaching matters in the NFL, even for players who have 15 years of experience in the NFL. He looked lost and like he didn't belong on the football field last year.
And angry.
For the first 14 games, 13 games, whatever it was. They fired Ty Grantham, and then he looked pretty good at the end of the year, and now he's carrying it over.
Yeah.
Like, it matters even for players like Cam, and I've been pleasantly surprised by Cam, really enjoying what I'm seeing from him.
That's great. We got 1 minute left. I'm going to give mine because I'm going to steal yours. Okay. Mine is Kendre Miller, who has been such a pleasant surprise. Now, what's yours? Go.
No. I have a different one. I'll go back to the edge rushers, and I'll go with Carl Granderson, who should have 4 and who should have 5.5 sacks, Roger, but he's got 4.5 on the season so far through